24 hours. And hold on, folks, we have the best yet to come. So I just strained out the pineapple. Yes, I cooked my ham with the bone in with the pineapple. It sweetens it up. This is a smoked, already pre-cooked ham. Nothing better than your homemade canned pea soup. Pea soup is one of my absolute favorites, and this is why I can it up, because you know what? It's way cheaper than what we pay here in the grocery store for one single can of the Habitant pea soup until we are ready to make a next batch. And so I have enough for like 3 batches of pea soup here with 1 ham bone, which I'm not going to complain about. That's pretty damn good. Serves as a second fridge, even if your power goes out. I got my 3 inches of water boiling here in my canner. All right, folks, our 90 minutes is up and the weight is off. So when you're cooking on the wood stove, you got to keep adding some extra stock or water to your peas. So this pea consistency, it's been on there for 24 hours, and you also got to make sure you stir frequently because it will burn on the bottom depending on what type of pot you are using. This is just one of those turkey fryer pots. It's kind of like the widest one that I have. So we're ready to add in some ingredients here to get our soup flavored up. 1 large onion. You can go with more if you really like the onion flavor. And I will check the flavor in a little bit to see if I have to cut up another half of an onion. Alright, 2 bay leaves going in. You can crack them in half if you want. These you're going to be taking out before you pressure can. 3 stalks of celery, chopped to a pretty good size. And you can also use dehydrated celery if you have it. 2 julienned carrots. Let's get that mixed in there. And hold on, folks, we have the best yet to come. All this is going to cook down and add beautiful color and flavor to our pea soup. Beautiful. 5 garlic cloves. I just crush them with the knife and slice them up. It might need more. We will decide upon the taste test. In it goes. So now this is our broth that just fell right off the bone from cooking this on the wood stove. Delicious flavoring from our ham bone. You got to get some of that in there, as well as some cut up ham meat. This is going to be all the beautiful flavor for our pea soup. So I just strained out the pineapple. Yes, I cooked my ham with the bone in with the pineapple. It sweetens it up. This is a smoked, already pre-cooked ham. I think I paid $30 for this ham, which to me is way too much, but okay. So I just strained out some of the stock right here. And I don't care if there's chunks in there because we are going to be using our immersion blender to get this to be a nice smooth consistency. All right. The flavor is in there. Stir it right in there. This is going to be beautiful. Nothing better than your homemade canned pea soup. Now we got to get a couple more ingredients to get the flavor really going. Well, I got dehydrated thyme from the garden. Gotta love the herbs. Get that in there too. Stir it up. And all these flavors have to marry inside the pot. And then we just have to add our meat in. Do a little bit of a whizzy with the immersion blender. Once some of the caramelization happens, once some of the onions start to break down and all those flavors are in there. And then we'll be able to fill our jars for canning and get the meat in. And on second thought, guess what? I did do up that last half of an onion. Now you can add potatoes if you want into this, or squash, whatever you want to do. There's still some really beautiful meat left that we have not eaten, so that's getting added in. And I just take off the fat, that's all. And then with everything in here, we're gonna have enough for a second batch of pea soup. Look at how beautiful that meat is. So I'm not making this soup all about the meat. It's gotta be all about the flavor and the peas, baby. Oh yeah, pea soup is one of my absolute favorites, and this is why I can it up, because you know what? It's way cheaper than what we pay here in the grocery store. I think right now people are paying probably $4 to $5 for one single can of the Habitant pea soup. So we are ready to rock and roll. This is looking fantastic. Taste it in a little bit. I'm gonna get a small palmful of salt in there for some flavor also. And some crushed chilies. Not too many because Alex doesn't like it super hot, but this will give some little touch of added heat. Not scorching at all by any means. And some beautiful coloring also to our jars. So in a couple of containers, I will just put the leftover ham bone stock into some containers and label them and freeze them until we are ready to make a next batch. And so I have enough for like 3 batches of pea soup here with 1 ham bone, which I'm not going to complain about. That's pretty damn good. There's still a lot of meat in there for sandwiches for tomorrow also. I'm adding a little bit more meat to our soup. Really could put your pineapple slices, wedges, right into your soup if you want. So like the pineapple tends to soak up the original salt from the ham bone. So if you want to put it into your soup, that's an option. You could also dehydrate it or feed it to your chickens. So all of this right here is going to be going to our chickens. Okay, so I just set the timer on the stove for 1 hour. Let's just get everything cooked down, the flavors going on, and then we will be able to have a nice bowl of soup, and I'll be able to pressure can tomorrow morning. So all I have to do is the soup outside in the garage on the freezer for the evening, and it keeps it nice and cold because we are in winter here in Ontario, and no better time than to be doing some prepping and stuff and making use of that outside cold, because it serves as a second fridge. Even if your power goes out, you're good to go because you got minus temperatures. Right. Reheated the soup. It was out in the garage, staying cold. Now we're just using our immersion blender just to bust up some of the larger chunks of the onion. And I got my 3 inches of water boiling here in my canner, getting heated up, and now we got to fill our jars. Right, all the jars are filled. These are a 1.5 pint jars. They're like a 1.5 pint jars. They are a taller jar. I like the size for the soup. And I'm leaving just a bit more than a 1-inch head space. Now we got to get our lids on. I cleaned all of the tops of the jars with a paper towel and vinegar just to get off any residue of the pea soup, so they're nice and clean. Time to get some lids on. And you're just going finger tight. So as soon as you feel it, you don't have to crank it down. And then into the canner they go. Alright, the canner fits 8 jars. Now we are ready to get our lid on. You gotta line up your arrow here on the side with the arrow on your lid. And then give it a little turn and it will be sealed. Arrow and arrow. And I got it set at an 8. And there's still quite a bit of soup in here, so we're gonna have this for a couple of meals. Or I can also do another batch of pressure canning, maybe take a roast out and do a second batch today. We'll see. We'll see what I feel like. Now we're just waiting for steam to be coming out of here for 10 minutes, getting pressure built up in the canner. So this is gonna take a little bit. It's noon right now, 12:05, so it'll probably take about 10 to 15 minutes, I want to say, and let that steam roll. Our little thing here popped up. We got the steady steam of steam happening, and we got 10 minutes on the timer. Now, we wait. Our little vent popped up. It means we are pressurizing in there. We got our steady stream of steam happening. 10 minutes on the timer. And once that timer is done, we get our weight on. Alright folks, our 90 minutes is up. Our pressure has come down to 0 in the canner. Weight is off. Weight is off. Things are falling down. The weight is off, and now it's time to unload our canner and hope that everything's sealed up perfect, 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 so that I can add these jars to the pantry. I got my cooling rack and my jar lifter. Lift the lid away from you. It's still hot in there. You can see the steam coming off. I usually go with the one in the middle first. Looks pretty good to me. They've been sitting in there for about a half hour. I had to run to the mail. There's the pugs. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to show you how the jars get kind of cloudy on the outside, and there's a way to remedy that. See how they get clouded up? Sure, you can wipe it off after these are dry, like tomorrow or something. But the best way to do it is just to put a little bit of vinegar into your pressure canner before you start canning, and then you won't have this issue. So it's looking that everything is going to be sealing just fine. 8 jars of homemade pea soup. Thank you for watching. I got a lot more canning to do. And then there's fishing, and it's winter, and yes, the fun never ends. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. Hey, so I picked up a good size ham the other day with the bone in. It's already cooked and it's smoky flavor. So I decided that I was just going to cook it on the wood stove downstairs for like overnight. And then I'm like, okay, good. This is perfect timing. I can make some beautiful homemade pea soup. Super simple soup to make. And even if you're not pressure canning it or you don't have a wood stove, you can still make your pea soup legit, like right on your stovetop. Super simple. And so I'm going to give you the recipe, and then I'm going to be canning up my jars that you see there that I just pulled out of the canner, and yes, pantry storage. So let's go. And they're still processing. Beautiful. So yeah, it's January, and this is something that Lisa at Sutton's Days puts on every January, and people just use straight up like canning all month. I think it's super exciting. It's January, so I got a lot more canning to do. It's not all going to be filmed, I know, because some of you just don't care about the canning or food preservation, but it's got to be done. So yeah, January challenge on, and it's also the pantry challenge that is happening as well right now too, where you're just supposed to eat whatever you have in your pantry. So I've been doing pretty good with that, I will say. Oh, and I started with a 2-liter bottle of peas that I had from my pantry. So don't ask me how much is in here. I guess I could probably tell ya. Maybe next time I do a batch, I'll post it to my community page or something. I can let you know how many cups are in here. So this is how I store a lot of my different dried goods in these old 2-liter soda bottles, because my buddy, he drinks a lot of soda, and I get him to save them. So once I fill them up, they go into the freezer. That way it kills any potential bugs that are hanging out in there. I will have a flour prepping video out very soon.
Carson caught the big one today. Down near 18 inches. Mine's 16. We're in a snowstorm today. Yeah.